Don't
Don't
eat the steak.
They
know who you are.
They know who you are. You have 90 seconds. In 7 seconds, I'm going to tell you who wrote this note. But first, you need to see what's written on the back. 3 words, handwritten, shaking letters. I saved you. Now, here's what you don't know. The woman who wrote this note? Her father died homeless because of the man reading it. The man reading it? Worth $2.4 billion, sitting in a diner where the whole meal costs $8.95. The steak he just ordered? Poisoned, and he has no idea. But here's the part that will stop you cold. This waitress has spent 3 years hating this man, blaming him for her father's death, fantasizing about the moment she could make him pay. And tonight, that moment arrived. Someone handed her the perfect weapon, a small bottle, clear liquid. Just put it in his food, he'll never know it was you. She had the bottle in her hand, standing over his steak. The man who destroyed her family sitting 40 feet away, completely vulnerable. She had every reason to do it. Every single reason. So why did she write the note? That's what I'm about to show you. And I promise you, the answer will change how you see revenge, forgiveness, and the kind of courage it takes to save someone you hate. Let's go back, 43 minutes earlier, before the note, before the poison, before everything changed. 7:17 p.m., Riverside Diner, Newark, New Jersey. Richard Cole pulls into the parking lot in a 1997 Honda Civic. Not his car, rented specifically for this. Cost him $40 for the day. His actual car, a Bugatti Chiron worth $3.2 billion, is in a garage in Manhattan. He's wearing Goodwill jeans, a t-shirt with a small stain, work boots that have actually been worked in. Richard doesn't do this halfway. He even stopped shaving 3 days ago. 4 times a year, Richard Cole goes invisible. He dresses like someone who can't afford his own products, walks into struggling businesses, tests them, not with questionnaires or focus groups, with humanity. Companies that pass his test, companies that treat him with dignity despite his appearance, get million-dollar investments that save them. Companies that fail, companies that judge him, dismiss him, treat him like he's worthless because of how he looks. He walks away, lets them fail. Sometimes even speeds up that failure with a single viral video that tanks their reputation overnight. Tonight's target? Riverside Diner. Family-owned, 43 years in business, currently dying. Richard knows everything. Their revenue is down 60% from 5 years ago. They have maybe 3 months of operating capital left. After that, bankruptcy. If they treat him well, if they show basic human decency to someone they think is poor, he'll invest $500,000, save the business, save the jobs, save the legacy. If they don't, he'll document every moment of their cruelty and let the internet do what the internet does best, destroy them. But Richard doesn't know something crucial, something that will change everything about tonight. Someone in this diner recognizes him, and they've been waiting 7 years for this exact moment. Before I show you what happens when Richard walks through that door, I need you to do something right now. Hit subscribe. Whether you're watching from Chicago in USA, Manchester in the UK, Johannesburg in South Africa, Trinidad or Jamaica, anywhere in the world, this story is for you. Now, drop a comment with your country and tell me, would you save someone who destroyed your family? Because in the next 60 seconds, you're going to witness a decision that will blow your mind. Let's go. Richard walks in. Bell above the door chimes. Typical American diner. Red vinyl booths that have been reupholstered twice. Checkered floor that's been mopped 10,000 times. The smell of coffee that's been sitting too long, and grease from fryers that have seen better days. 7:19 p.m. Dinner rush is ending. Only 6 other customers scattered throughout. Tuesday night in Newark. Not exactly prime time. 1 waitress working the floor. 1 cook in the kitchen. 1 dishwasher barely visible through the service window. The waitress is 26. Name tag says Maya. She's refilling coffee for an elderly couple when Richard enters. For just a fraction of a second, her hand freezes. The coffee pot tilts slightly, almost spills. Then she catches herself. Smiles. Professional. Practiced. Sit anywhere you'd like, hun. Richard picks a corner booth. He always picks the corner. Always faces the door. Old habit from a father he barely knew. Military man. Taught him 3 things before he left. Face the door, trust your gut, and never show weakness. 2 out of 3 turned out to be useful. Maya approaches with a menu, water glass already filled, notepad in hand. Everything about her movements suggests experience. She's done this 10,000 times. What can I get you to drink? Just water's fine. Maybe coffee if it's fresh. She doesn't hesitate. Made it 20 minutes ago, still hot. She pours. Her hands are steady now. Whatever moment of recognition she had at the door, she's buried it. Richard is watching everything. It's what he does. How she moves, how she speaks, whether her eyes flick to his clothes and make judgments, whether her smile changes when she realizes he probably can't afford a big tip. So far, she's passing. Take your time with the menu. I'll check back in a few minutes. Professional. Courteous. No condescension, no judgment. Richard makes a mental note. Good sign. But Richard doesn't see, as Maya walks back towards the kitchen, her left hand is trembling. She shoves it in her apron pocket. Takes a breath. Another. Tries to slow her heart rate. Because Maya Santos knows exactly who just sat down in booth 7. Richard Cole, tech billionaire, founder of Coltech Industries, the man whose company destroyed her father's life. She recognized him immediately. Same face from the Forbes articles, from the TechCrunch features, from the business news segments her father used to watch before everything fell apart, before Coltech bought the plant, before the promises, before the betrayal, before her father died homeless in a city morgue shelter, broken and forgotten. Maya has imagined meeting Richard Cole 1,000 times. In her imagination, she tells him exactly what his company did, exactly how many lives his decisions destroyed, exactly what it felt like to identify her father's body in a city morgue. In her imagination, he apologizes, begs for forgiveness, offers money that could never be enough. She never imagined he'd walk into her diner pretending to be poor. Maya pushes through the kitchen door. Dennis is at the grill, flipping burgers for table 3. Dennis Patterson, 58 years old, owns this place with his wife Linda. Been running it for 31 years. Used to be their dream, now it's their anchor, dragging them down into bankruptcy. You okay? Dennis notices her face. Fine, just need a second. But before she can compose herself, before she can figure out what to do with this information, the door chimes again. Another regular, Carl Morrison, comes in 3-4 times a week, always sits at the counter, always orders the meatloaf, always tips 15%, never more, never less. Carl's a big man, 53, hands like catcher's mitts, works construction when he can find it, not which isn't often anymore, not since his back's been going, not since the job's dried up.
Carl sits at his usual spot, spins the stool once, a habit, nods at Maya. Meatloaf, coffee, black. Coming up, Carl. But Carl isn't looking at Maya. He's looking past her, at booth 7, at Richard Cole. And his face is doing something Maya has never seen before. Going pale, then red, then something darker. Recognition, then rage. Carl stands up, not quickly, slowly, deliberately, starts walking toward booth 7. Maya intercepts him. Carl, what's wrong? That man. Carl's voice is low, dangerous. You know who that is? Just a customer. That's Richard Cole. Maya's heart drops. Carl knows too. He does this, dresses up like regular people, goes into businesses, tests them. If you pass, he invests. If you fail, he destroys you on the internet. Carl's hands are clenching, unclenching. But that's not why I'm upset. He looks at Maya, really looks at her. 7 years ago, his company bought Newark Manufacturing. You know the plant where your dad worked? Maya's throat closes. She nods. My brother worked there too. David. They promised everyone their jobs were safe, said they were modernizing, not outsourcing, said they cared about American workers. Carl's voice cracks, just slightly. 6 months later, they shut it all down, moved everything to Mexico. 800 people, Maya, gone, just like that. David lost his job, then his house, then his wife left, took the kids. He started drinking. 2 years later, I found him in his apartment. He'd been dead for 3 days. Heart attack, they said, but I know what it really was. He died of being thrown away. The words hit Maya like physical blows, because she knows this story. She lived this story, just with a different name. Her father instead of Carl's brother. I'm sorry, Carl. I didn't know about David. Most people don't. Just another statistic. Just another casualty of market efficiency, or whatever they call it when they destroy lives to make their quarterly numbers look good. Carl looks back at Richard. He's sitting there in his fake poor person costume, judging us, deciding if we're worthy of his charity. Meanwhile, he's got blood on his hands. 800 families, Maya, including yours, including mine. Something passes between them, a shared understanding, a shared loss, a shared rage that has nowhere to go. What are you going to do? Maya asks. Carl reaches into his jacket pocket, pulls something out, small, bottle, clear liquid, shows it to Maya quickly, then puts it away. I carry this for rats, works in about 20 minutes, makes them sick, violently sick, doesn't kill them, but they wish it would. For about 6 to 8 hours, they wish it would. Maya's blood goes cold. Carl, no! I'm not going to do it. I'm not a killer, but I know someone who might have the guts I don't. He looks toward the kitchen, at Dennis. Dennis lost everything too. This diner, it's failing because Cole Tech opened a big tech campus 15 miles from here, brought in thousands of workers, promised they'd support local businesses, then opened an on-site cafeteria and food court. Nobody comes here anymore. Carl slides the bottle across the counter. Give this to Dennis. Tell him the man in booth 7 is Richard Cole. Tell him this is his chance to make someone pay for what's been taken from us. Carl, this is crazy. This is justice. That's what this is. Not legal justice, not court justice, real justice. The kind that makes rich men understand that actions have consequences, that you can't just destroy lives and walk away untouched. Carl puts money on the counter for the meatloaf he won't be eating. He leaves. Bell chimes, gone. Maya stands there holding the bottle. It's light, barely weighs anything. Funny how something so small can be so heavy. She looks at booth 7. Richard Cole is looking at his phone, scrolling, completely unaware that his life just changed, that a decision is being made that will determine whether he leaves this diner on his feet or in an ambulance. She looks at the bottle again. Her father's face flashes in her mind. Robert Santos, the last time she saw him alive, in that shelter, barely recognizing her, broken, defeated, nothing left of the proud man who taught her to ride a bike, who worked double shifts to send her to college, who believed in the American dream until that dream threw him away. Richard Cole did that. His company, his signature on the paperwork, his decisions in boardrooms she'll never see. Her father's life traded for a percentage point on a profit margin. She could walk this bottle into the kitchen, hand it to Dennis, tell him what Carl said, watch as Dennis makes his choice. She wouldn't even have to do it herself. Just enable it. Just allow it. Just look the other way while someone else serves justice that the system never will. Her hand closes around the bottle. Then she looks at booth 7 again. Richard is putting his phone away, looking at the menu, deciding what to order. Completely human in this moment. Just a man choosing between a burger and a steak. And Maya thinks about her father again. Not the broken man in the shelter, the earlier version, the one who taught her things. She remembers one specific conversation. She was 16. Someone at school had spread rumors about her, Mean ones, false ones. She wanted revenge. Her father said, "Maya, you want to know the difference between you and them? You're better. Being better doesn't mean letting them hurt you, but it means you don't become them. You don't lower yourself, because once you do, once you become the thing you hate, you can't come back from that." She didn't understand then. She wanted revenge, not philosophy. But standing here now, holding poison, looking at a man she has every right to hate, she understands. If she does this, if she allows this, she becomes what she hates, becomes someone who destroys lives, becomes the monster she's been fighting. Her father wouldn't want that. Even after everything, even after Coltech, even after the shelter, he wouldn't want her to become this. Maya makes her decision. She walks to the kitchen. Dennis looks up from the grill. "What's wrong? You look pale." "That man in booth 7, you recognize him?" Dennis squints through the service window, studies Richard, shakes his head. "Should I?" "That's Richard Cole." Dennis's face changes. He knows the name. Everyone in Newark knows the name. "The billionaire? The one who does the undercover thing?" "Yes." Dennis sets down his spatula. "Are you sure?" Maya shows him her phone. Forbes article. Photo of Richard at a tech conference. Same face, cleaner, richer looking, but unmistakably him. "Holy..." Dennis trails off. "This is it. This is our chance. If we impress him, if we pass his test, he could save us. He could invest. We could survive." Hope. Maya sees actual hope in Dennis's eyes for the first time in months. "We have to be perfect," Dennis continues. "Perfect service, perfect food, everything perfect." He pulls out his best ribeye, been saving it, prime cut, expensive. He seasons it carefully, prepares his grill. Take his order, whatever he wants. Make sure his coffee never gets cold. Make sure he feels like the most important customer we've ever had. "Dennis, there's something else." "What?" Maya almost tells him about Carl, about the bottle, about the choice she's making. But she stops, because if Dennis knows, he becomes part of this, becomes complicit in either the crime that didn't happen or the mercy that did. "Nothing. I'll make sure his service is perfect." Maya pockets the bottle. She'll dispose of it later, somewhere far from here, somewhere it can't hurt anyone. She walks back out to the floor, takes a breath, becomes the professional waitress again. Approaches booth 7. "Ready to order?" Richard looks up, studies her for a moment, like he's reading her. She feels exposed, vulnerable. Does he know she recognized him? Can he see the decision she just made? "I'll have the ribeye, medium rare, mashed potatoes, whatever vegetables you've got."
The ribeye is $18.95, most expensive thing on the menu. Maya pauses. This is part of his test, she realizes. He's checking if she'll judge him, if she'll question whether he can afford it, if she'll try to steer him towards something cheaper. The ribeye is a good choice. You want the 8-ounce or the 12-ounce? What do you recommend? Another test. Is she going to upsell, push him toward the more expensive option to bumper tip? Honestly, the 8-ounce. Our portions are generous. Most people can't finish the 12. Truth, not salesmanship. She sees approval flicker across his face. 8-ounce it is. Maya writes it down. That'll be about 15 minutes. She takes the order to Dennis, clips it to the wheel, spins it. Dennis sees it, nods, starts cooking the steak with the kind of attention he usually reserves for health inspectors. Maya refills Richard's coffee, brings fresh cream even though he didn't ask, checks on her other tables but keeps Richard in her peripheral vision. Watching him, this man who destroyed her father, this man she just saved. The rational part of her brain is screaming that she made a mistake, that Carl was right, that this was justice, that Richard Cole deserves to suffer the way he made others suffer. But another part, the part that sounds like her father, says she did the right thing, that revenge is poison, that it spreads, that once you taste it, you can never get clean again. The steak cooks. Perfect. Dennis plates it himself, adds a garnish he hasn't used in months, makes it beautiful. Maya picks up the plate, walks it to booth 7, sets it down in front of Richard. Here you go, 1 ribeye medium rare. Looks perfect, thank you. Maya turns to walk away, then stops, reaches into her apron, pulls out a napkin. She'd written on it in the kitchen, quickly, while Dennis wasn't looking. Don't eat the steak. They know who you are. You have 90 seconds. She sets the napkin next to his plate, doesn't make eye contact, just sets it down and walks away. Heart pounding, hands shaking, not sure if she just saved his life or ruined everything. Richard notices the napkin, picks it up, reads it. His entire body language changes. Muscles tense, eyes sharpen. Years of business warfare kick in. Trust no one, verify everything. He looks at the steak. Perfect, beautiful, potentially lethal. Looks at Maya. She's across the diner, not looking at him, aggressively not looking at him. Stop right there. Before I show you what Richard does next, before this story takes its most shocking turn, I need you to do something. If you're watching from the USA, UK, South Africa, Trinidad, or Jamaica, drop your country in the comments right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Hit subscribe because what happens in the next 5 minutes will change how you see forgiveness forever. And comment, would you have written that note? Let's go. Richard makes a decision, picks up his phone, stands, walks to the counter. Actually, can I get that to go? Something came up. Maya boxes the steak. Her hands are steady now. The decision is made. No going back. Richard pays, cash, $30 for a $20 meal. Keep the change. As he takes the box, their eyes meet. Really meet. For the first time, they see each other. Not billionaire and waitress, not destroyer and victim. Just two people in the middle of something bigger than both of them. Why did you warn me? Maya's voice is quiet, steady. Because wrong is wrong, even when it's done to someone you hate. You hate me? My father was Robert Santos, Newark Manufacturing. Ring any bells? Richard's face shows recognition, not of the name, but of the situation. The plant closing, the controversy, the 800 lives. He died 3 years ago. Homeless, broken, because your company made promises it didn't keep. So yes, Mr. Cole, I hate you, but I'm not going to let someone poison you, even though part of me wishes I could. She walks away, back to the kitchen, leaves Richard standing there with his boxed steak and the weight of his choices. Richard leaves the diner, gets in his rental car, sits in the darkness, opens the box. The steak looks perfect, smells amazing, could be fine, could be deadly. He makes a call. Jennifer, it's Richard. I need a team at Riverside Diner in Newark right now. I have food that needs a full toxicology screen. I want results in 2 hours. Pause. And pull everything we have on the Newark Manufacturing acquisition. Every document, every email, every promise we made. Everything. I want it on my desk by morning. Another pause. Because I think I just had my life saved by someone whose father I killed, and I need to know if that's true. He hangs up, stares at the diner through his windshield, the lights inside, Maya visible through the window, serving other customers, going through the motions, living a life that his decisions made harder. Richard drives back to Manhattan, doesn't sleep, sits in his office, waits for the reports. They arrive at 4 a.m. Report 1, the steak. Contaminated, ipecac syrup, non-lethal but would have caused violent vomiting, severe cramping, dehydration, 6 to 8 hours of absolute misery, possibly requiring hospitalization. Someone tried to poison him. Maya's warning was real. Report 2, Newark Manufacturing. This one is thicker. 300 pages of acquisition documents, internal emails, closure orders, financial projections. Richard reads every word. His company bought Newark Manufacturing 7 years ago. The pitch to the board was clear. Modernize the facility, improve efficiency, maintain American jobs, good PR, good optics, tax advantages. Richard signed off on the acquisition, gave a speech about American workers, about loyalty, about building the future together. Then he went to Singapore, launching a new product line, was there for 6 weeks. While he was gone, his VP of Operations, Thomas Hendricks, made a decision. The Newark plant wasn't profitable enough. Modernization would cost too much. Easier to close it, move production to Mexico, save $40 million annually. Hendricks sent Richard an email. Richard read it on his phone between meetings, saw the cost savings, didn't read the details about the workers. Replied, "Approved. Proceed." 2 words that ended 800 careers. Richard finds the employee list, scrolls through, sees Robert Santos, assembly line supervisor, 23 years service, age 54. Clicks into his file. Performance reviews, excellent. Attendance, perfect. Skills, exemplary. Status, terminated. Severance, 2 weeks pay. 2 weeks after 23 years. Richard feels sick, keeps reading, follows Robert Santos's timeline after Coltech. Unemployment for 6 months, then part-time work, then nothing. Address changes, first to a worse neighborhood, then to a shelter. Death certificate, 3 years ago, heart attack. Listed address, Newark Hope Shelter. Next of kin, Maya Santos, daughter. Richard closes the file, sits in silence as Manhattan wakes up outside his window. The city that made him rich, the city that makes everything possible. The city built on people like Robert Santos, who work until they can't, then disappear. He spent 20 years building an empire, disrupting industries, moving fast and breaking things. That's what they call it in Silicon Valley, breaking things. Makes it sound clean, innovative, necessary. But things that break sometimes include people, families, futures. Richard picks up his phone. "Jennifer, clear my schedule. I'm going to Newark." Richard Cole walks into Riverside Diner at 11 a.m. the next day. No disguise this time. Clean suit, polished shoes, 3 lawyers with him, carrying briefcases.
Maya's working the morning shift, sees him come in, freezes. Her first instinct is to run. Her second is to confront him. She does neither, just stands there, waiting. Dennis comes out of the kitchen, sees Richard, goes pale. "Mr. Cole, I can explain." "Where can we talk? Privately." Dennis leads them to a back office, tiny, cluttered, bills stacked on every surface. Maya follows. This is her story, too. Richard sits, his lawyers stand. Dennis and Maya remain standing too, defensive, waiting for the hammer to fall. "Mr. Patterson, Maya, I had the steak analyzed. It was contaminated. Ipecac syrup, non-lethal but extremely unpleasant." Dennis looks genuinely shocked. "What? I didn't. I would never." "I know. I had my people investigate. A regular customer, Carl Morrison, gave it to someone, told them to use it on me." Maya's stomach drops. Carl. It was Carl's bottle, the one she threw away. "I'm not pressing charges," Richard continues. "Carl's brother died because of my company. He wanted revenge. I understand that." Richard looks at Maya. "You wrote the note. You saved me, even though your father died because of my company, even though you had every reason to let it happen." Maya's throat is tight. "My father wouldn't have wanted me to become a killer, even for him. I spent last night reading about your father, Robert Santos, 23 years at Newark Manufacturing, excellent employee, loyal, dependable. I terminated him with an email I barely read. 2 words, approved, proceed. That's all his career was worth to me." Richard's voice cracks, just slightly. "I can't bring him back. I can't give you those 3 years, but I can try to make his death mean something." He nods to one of the lawyers. Briefcase opens. Documents come out. "I'm prepared to invest $800,000 in Riverside Diner. Full modernization, new equipment, marketing, everything you need to succeed." Dennis stares. "What?" "3 conditions. First, you modernize completely. My consultants will help. Second, you hire 5 former Newark manufacturing workers. I have a list. People who still need jobs. People my company abandoned." Richard looks at Maya. Third, Maya Santos becomes general manager. Salary $85,000 per year plus profit sharing. She makes all operational decisions. She runs this place. Maya can't speak, can't process this. "I don't want your guilt money," she finally says. "It's not guilt money, though I am guilty. It's justice money, restitution. Your father deserved better than he got. I can't fix that, but I can make sure his daughter gets the opportunity he should have had." He pulls out another folder. "I've also started a fund, $50 million for every worker from Newark Manufacturing, job training, healthcare, housing assistance, mental health services, whatever they need to rebuild." He slides a paper across the desk. "This is Thomas Hendricks, my VP of Operations, the one who closed the plant. He's fired as of this morning. His severance is going into the Newark Fund." Maya's crying now, not sobbing, just tears running down her face that she can't stop. "Why?" she asks. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you showed me mercy when I deserved revenge. Because your father's death is on my hands, even if I didn't pull the trigger. Because I've spent 20 years breaking things, and I'm tired of ignoring the pieces." Richard looks at both of them. "I can't fix the past, but I can fix the future, if you'll help me." Dennis is crying too now. "The workers you want me to hire, Carl Morrison, is he on the list?" "He is, if you'll have him." "The man who tried to poison you?" "The man who lost his brother, who needs a job, who needs a future, who needs to know that even after everything, someone still sees him as human." Maya wipes her eyes. "I have conditions too. I'm listening. Every employee gets full benefits, real health care, real mental health coverage, not the cheap stuff. Done. A memorial at the plant site, all 800 names, so people remember what happened, so you remember every single day. I'll have it built. Anything else? You come here once a month, you eat here, you look at the people your money employed, you remember they're not line items on a spreadsheet, they're humans." Richard extends his hand. "Deal." Maya shakes it. Her grip is firm, steady, the grip of someone who just changed her life by refusing to ruin someone else's. The lawyers lay out documents, contracts, investment agreements, employment offers. Dennis signs, Maya signs, Richard signs. It's done. Riverside Diner is saved. 6 months later, the diner's transformed. New sign glowing in the evening, fresh paint, new equipment, but it still feels like the same place, still feels like home. The dining room is packed, every booth full, every table occupied, waiting list 45 minutes long, 8 employees now, all wearing clean uniforms, all smiling, actually smiling, because they're making real money with real benefits. Carl Morrison is working the grill with Dennis, teaching him a recipe his brother used to make. They're not friends exactly, not yet, but they're getting there, bonded by shared loss and shared second chances. Maya's in the office, looking at financials. They're profitable, actually growing. She has plans, a second location maybe, expanding the menu, hiring more people, building something that lasts. A knock on the door. Richard Cole walks in. He comes once a month, same booth, same order, ribeye, medium rare. It's their ritual now. Once a month, Richard sits in that booth and Maya joins him. They talk about the diner, about the Newark Fund, about the 700 workers now placed in new jobs, about the memorial that was unveiled last month with all 800 names carved in granite. "How's business?" Richard asks. "Good, really good. We're thinking about expanding." "You have plans?" "Maybe. Need to run the numbers, but yeah, I think we're ready." Richard sips his coffee. "I saw your father's name on the memorial last week. I go every Sunday. It helps, knowing he's remembered. I keep his picture in my office, reminder of every decision affects real people." They sit in comfortable silence, the kind that comes from shared history, from pain that's been acknowledged, from harm that's being repaired, slowly, one day at a time. The bell chimes. A new customer enters, disheveled, dirty clothes, clearly struggling. The host starts to say something, but Maya stands up. "I've got this." She approaches the customer. "What's your name?" "James. I don't have much money. Dinner's on us. Come sit." No judgment, no hesitation, just humanity, just kindness extended to someone who needs it. The same kindness Maya showed Richard a year ago when she wrote that note instead of looking away. Carl delivers James's meal personally. "Ribeye, my brother's recipe. Everyone deserves a good meal." Richard watches from his booth. This is what success looks like. Not stock prices, not market share, not wealth accumulation. This, people caring for people, communities healing, lives rebuilding one meal at a time. Maya returns to the booth. "We do that 3 or 4 times a week. Someone comes in who needs more than food. We feed them." That's not in the business plan. Some things are more important than the plan. Richard smiles. "Your father would be proud of you." "I hope so. I think about him every day, what he'd say, what he'd think, whether he'd forgive you." "Do you forgive me?"
Maya considers this. Really considers it. "I'm working on it. Some days are easier than others. But then I look at this place, at Carl, at the other workers you hired, at the fund helping hundreds of families, and I think, maybe forgiveness isn't about forgetting. Maybe it's about choosing to build something better from the ruins." The steak arrives. Carl sets it down, makes eye contact with Richard. "No poison this time, I promise." It's a joke now, dark humor between men who've hurt each other and are trying to heal. "I trust you," Richard says, and means it. Carl nods and returns to the kitchen. Richard cuts into his steak. Perfect. Cooked exactly right. He takes a bite. "This is incredible. Best steak I've ever had." Carl's brother taught him that recipe. Sharing it is his way of keeping David alive, of making something good from something terrible. Richard has to look away, collect himself. The man he almost got killed is honoring the brother lost because of Richard's negligence. The forgiveness isn't explicit, not stated in words, but it's present in every action, every kindness, every shared meal. 2 weeks later, Richard stands at the memorial wall. Newark Manufacturing Plant Memorial. Granite, 20 feet long, 800 names etched in stone. 200 people gathered for the dedication. Former workers, families, community members, press. Politicians who show up for photo ops but did nothing when the jobs left. Richard takes the podium. He's given 1,000 speeches, TED Talks, keynote addresses, board presentations. None were as hard as this. 7 years ago, 800 people lost their jobs. Not because of market forces, not because of inevitable change, because of me. My leadership, my signature, my failure to pay attention. I signed a memo without reading it. 2 words, approved, proceed. That's all 23 years of loyal service was worth to me. That's all Robert Santos's career meant. That's all David Morrison's life meant. 2 words on an email I barely glanced at. I can't undo that, but I can acknowledge it. I can learn from it. I can do better. This memorial isn't about me feeling better. It's about making sure these 800 people are never forgotten. About making sure that everyone, including me, remembers that business decisions affect real lives. I promise you this, I will never forget. And I will spend the rest of my career making sure this never happens again. Maya speaks next. Her voice is steady, strong. My father, Robert Santos, worked here for 23 years. He loved this job, loved providing for his family. When he lost it, he lost himself. But his story doesn't end with loss. It ends with change. Because of what happened to him, 700 people have new jobs, new hope, new futures. That's the legacy I choose for my father. They unveil the memorial, 800 names gleaming in the afternoon sun. People approach, finding their loved ones, touching the names, crying, healing. Carl stands in front of David Morrison. Silent tears, but also relief. His brother is remembered. His pain is acknowledged. His loss means something. Richard approaches, stands next to Carl, says nothing. Sometimes silence is the only appropriate response. "Thank you," Carl finally says, "for this, for remembering him. Thank you for giving me a chance to make it right." Two men, divided by tragedy, united by healing. 1 year after the note, Richard sits in his office, 47th floor, Manhattan. The photos on his wall have changed. Not just tech conferences and awards anymore, but people. The Newark workers, Maya, Dennis, Carl, the diner staff. Faces that remind him why he does what he does, who he serves. His phone buzzes. News alert. Coltech Industries announces revolutionary worker protection policy. No layoffs without guaranteed retraining and placement. The article details how Richard has changed his entire company's approach to workforce management, how other companies are following suit, how he's setting a new standard for corporate responsibility. Richard closes the phone, doesn't care about the press, cares about the people. Another notification, email from Maya. Second location is opening next month. Want to invest again? Richard smiles, types back, "Only if Carl's cooking and you're running it." Maya's reply, "Deal. Come by tonight, testing new menu items. Bring your appetite." From billionaire testing humanity to friend invited for dinner. That's the journey. That's the healing. Richard looks at his desk. In a simple frame, the napkin. The note that changed everything. "Don't eat the steak. They know who you are. You have 90 seconds. Those words saved his life, but not from poison, from himself. From becoming the kind of person who values profit over people. From building an empire on broken lives without ever seeing the faces of the broken. Maya didn't just warn him about contaminated food, she warned him about a contaminated soul. That evening, Richard walks into Riverside Diner. Not the Manhattan one, the original, where it all started, where he almost died, where he was reborn. The booth is full. Maya, Dennis, Carl, 3 former Newark workers now thriving in new careers. They're laughing, planning, dreaming, building futures that seemed impossible a year ago. Richard joins them, not as a billionaire, not as an investor, as a friend, as someone who learned that the best investment you can make is in human dignity. To second chances, Carl raises his glass. To second chances, they echo. They drink, they eat, they live. Across the diner, a young man sits alone, nervous, clearly struggling, counting change to see if he has enough for the cheapest item on the menu. Maya sees him, stands up, walks over. "First meal is on us. What would you like?" The young man looks up, tears in his eyes. "Really? Really. Everyone deserves a good meal. Everyone deserves to be seen." She seats him, brings him the ribeye without him ordering. Carl's brother's recipe, the one they serve to people who need more than food, who need hope. Richard watches this, watches the chain of compassion. He was shown mercy. That mercy changed him. That change created opportunities. Those opportunities created more mercy. The cycle continues, growing, spreading. This is the legacy. Not the billions, not the empire, not the innovations that disrupted industries. This, people caring for people. Mercy multiplying. Compassion becoming contagious. The young man takes his first bite of steak, closes his eyes, whispers something that might be a prayer, or a thank you, or both. Maya returns to the booth, sits down. Where were we? They continue talking, planning, laughing, living, building something better from the ruins of what was broken. The bell chimes. Another customer. Another opportunity to show humanity. Another chance to prove that even in a world that often values profit over people, There are places where people still matter more. Richard stays until closing, helps clear tables, stacks chairs, something he never did before, something billionaires don't do. But he's not just a billionaire anymore. He's someone who learned the hard way that worth has nothing to do with wealth. Same time next month, Maya asks as he leaves. I'll be here. Good, because you're part of this now, part of the family. Family. Richard hasn't felt part of a family since his father left, since he built walls around himself and called it success, since he learned to measure life in dollars instead of moments. But here, in this diner, in this community of broken people healing together, he's found something worth more than his entire fortune. He's found redemption. Richard drives home through Newark, past the memorial, past the streets where Robert Santos walked, past the places where David Morrison lived, past the lives that were broken and are slowly being rebuilt. He thinks about that night, the note, the decision Maya made, the mercy she showed when she had every right to choose revenge. That mercy saved his life, but more than that, it saved his soul. And now, that saved soul is saving others. That's the real miracle. Not the money, not the investment, not the business success. The miracle is that Maya Santos, whose father died homeless because of Richard's company, chose mercy over revenge, chose building over destroying, chose hope over hate.
And that choice changed everything. Stop. Before you leave, before you close this and move on, before this becomes just another story you watched, I need you to understand something. What would you have done? If you were Maya, would you have written that note? Would you have saved the man who destroyed your father? Or would you have looked away? If you were Richard, would you have changed? Would you have faced your mistakes? Would you have spent millions trying to make things right? If you were Carl, would you have forgiven? Would you have shared your brother's recipe with the man whose company killed him? These aren't hypothetical questions. Every single day, you make choices between revenge and redemption, between holding grudges and extending grace, between seeing people as enemies or as humans worthy of dignity. Right now, someone in the USA is deciding whether to forgive. Right now, someone in the UK is choosing between bitterness and healing. Right now, someone in South Africa is learning that mercy doesn't mean weakness. Right now, someone in Trinidad is discovering that second chances change everything. Right now, someone in Jamaica is realizing that compassion is more powerful than revenge. If this story changed something in you, if it made you think differently about forgiveness, about second chances, about the courage it takes to save someone who hurt you, then subscribe right now. Join 10K people from the USA, UK, South Africa, Trinidad, Jamaica, and around the world who believe everyone deserves redemption. Share this. Send it to someone struggling to forgive, someone who's made mistakes they think define them, someone who needs to know it's never too late to choose mercy. Comment below with your country and tell me, have you ever saved someone who hurt you? Have you ever been saved by someone you hurt? Let's build a global community of people who choose healing over harm. Remember, the person who hurt you might be the person who changes because of you, and you might be the person who saves someone from themselves. Thank you for staying until the end, for being the kind of person who believes people can change, for choosing, even in this small way, to believe in mercy. Now go write your own note. Go save someone who needs saving. Go be the reason someone chooses change over destruction. I'm your story buddy. Until next time, keep your heart open, your mercy ready, and remember the words that changed everything. I saved you. May you have the courage to write those words when it matters most.
Whether you're in Chicago or Manchester or Johannesburg to Trinidad, to Jamaica to Miami, anywhere else in this world, you have the power to change a life with one act of mercy. Go be that person.